Yeah, I should. You should be able to hear me by now. Okay, I think it's better now, and yeah, I think I can do something with this. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Paul, and if you are just joining, I am currently doing my 100 days of cloud security, and today is my day 12. This is my 12th day. This is just me, learning in public, being in everybody's face, trying to figure things out in public, and of course, I am not ashamed of it because I chose to do this because I can. So why not? I am sorry for the delay. Um, this is like the fourth time I'll be coming, maybe fourth or third time I'll be coming live, like in the space of 30 minutes. I had like a couple of issues with the stream, and I knew it was because I did not like prepare well and enough. That's why it happened. So super sorry for that. Okay, so just straight to today's business. I'm going to continue where I stopped the stream last time. So let me just pull up my notes. Please let me confirm in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me very well. I want to know if I'm dropping frames, if my video is being laggy. I really want to know because I need to like get a fix for it. I don't know why it is doing me like this. I really don't know why. But my stream should actually be smooth based on the stats that I'm getting from the app right now. Okay, so I'll pull up my screen now. Um, video capture properties. One moment, please. Entire screen. Okay. Yep. So this is my screen. I have like a couple of issues with my streaming app today. I really don't know what's going on. To be very very honest, I don't know what's going on. But we move. Yes. So I stopped at access use cases, and all I'll just be doing is just splitting my screen into two, and that way I'm able to use my notes and whatever it is that I'm using to study. And I'm really really trying that maybe before the end of the entire stream, I want to take a particular exam. I want to take a particular exam. Um, one moment again. Profile. I need to refresh this properties. Then okay, this guy should be on by now. How you doing? Okay, so let me refresh that. Yep. So I am also preparing to do an exam by SecOp groups. It's called the AWS. Um, I don't know what it's called. I've forgotten what it's called. Yeah, this one. I want to do this CCSP AWS. I really don't know which one is like more expensive between this one and maybe doing any of IIC tools exam. I don't know. Let me check the price for. I think it's called CCNA. Yeah, that's CCNA. I hope I'm right. No, not CCNA, not CCNA. Let me just search ISC to for clouds. Yeah, CCSP rather. So I don't know which one is like more expensive to do. So let me just. But I think there are like there are a couple of um I don't know what it's called, like rules. I don't want to call it rules, terms and conditions around some of ISC2's exams. Out that you should have had maybe a couple of years of experience in the field, all of those things. Yeah. Um, I'm coming, please. I want to, yeah. So this one says 5 years, 5 years work experience. I really need to like get certified in cloud. I really need to like get certified in cloud. Let me check if they have another exam for. But yeah, I know that I can easily like take this one, and I think they actually have let me see. They have, yeah, I can get 60% off. So instead of £100, man, that's a lot of money. Instead of £100, I can easily do 60% of this. Got wait, what? How is tax 20? Okay, it says I have a coupon code, so that'll be 60 if I'm right. 48. So I'll be able to like take it for 48 pounds. Hopefully I can save up and do that. But I want to take this exam before I finish the stream. So this is just an AWS certified exam, and part of what I want to do. So it's even an essential exam, not even a professional exam. God, I beg. But anyways, back to today. Yeah. So I'm gonna be looking at use access use cases. I was able to cover the fundamental differences between AWS, Azure, and GCP, and I was able to understand how the three of them are kind of similar, but they are not really similar in some sense actually. Let me just make this big and this okay. Okay, so I'm just going to continue from where I stopped, and I will need a new note. Yeah. Okay. So it says access use cases. Two types of identities need user access: the user and the service. Okay. So two types of identities need access: users and services. So I'm just gonna pull this right. Then let's look at how admins in each of the other clouds can give access to each kind of identity. So, okay, in AWS there is the IAM user, which is a resource, and it's an object that represents the resource and an IAM policy. I remember what IAM policy is. I definitely cannot forget because I still worked around AWS today, and I had like a couple of policies to write. Yeah, so that determines access capabilities. AWS also enables bonding users together, which is user groups. Then, however, using the IAM user objects can become cumbersome when needing to give access to multiple accounts. Where's this guy? I'm trying to load up ChatGPT so that I can easily do passive fundamentals. Yeah, wherever you see. Okay. Oh no, not this. And at some point, I think I'm even like getting so comfortable on this stream already. I think I'm getting comfortable on this stream. Okay, this was for my no was let me just create a new chat. Okay, so however, okay, then in AWS the best practice is to manage users through an external identity provider. With an IDP, users are represented through a proxy through a proxy identity called an IAM role. The IAM role allows the identity provider to delegate access to this user. So AWS has also introduced an AWS tool, AWS SSO, that enables the centralized management of identities and federation by using identity providers. Using a permission set, admins can manage and provide access to users in AWS accounts. AWS also can automatically create roles and policies that are attached to them. So in for AWS now, I think for AWS there there is the AWS SSO that enables centralized. Say, let me just paste it here, and then using a permission set, admins can manage and provide access to users in AWS accounts. So AWS SSO can also automatically create roles and policies that are attached to them. So let me just paste this. So this is for AWS. Then I think I don't want. Let me just make the topic user access management. User access management. Then so this is gonna be um for AWS. Then I think can I okay, yeah, for AWS. Then let me do for Azure. Okay. So for Azure now, Azure offers the Azure Active Directory, the Azure AD, the identity provider where users are managed. This includes creating new users, inviting guests, users, or managing how they access applications. Also enables managing users in groups, and users are added to groups, and groups can be nested inside each other. I.e., one group can be put inside another group, which is very helpful when assigning permissions. So I'm just gonna clip this. I really don't know what this is, but that's because I have not touched Azure at all. So um, so I can say Azure as the Azure Active Directory. And let me just paste this in. Okay. So basically where users are made. So this is where users are managed and managed, then creating new users, inviting guest users, and managing how they access applications. So let me clip this, and then you can say, so I can say this. Then there is this. So I think this is what it looks like. I am not sure if my Azure will be able to like open this evening because I have not opened Azure. Like I've not opened this in like a couple of days now. So, but let me see if it works. Please, if you are on the stream, please just let me Like, let me just indicate if the video is not choppy or it's not laggy. I really cannot confirm on my end here. Okay. So it's called Azure AD. Uh, oh, I think I found it. Azure AD. Come back, come back. I think it's under services. I saw Azure AD just now. Okay, yeah. I hope this is it. I hope this is it. What's B2C? Okay, yes. I think this is it. So I am able to register apps, policies, security, activities, and oh, thank you very much, bro. So there is to create B2C tenants. I really need to like go through these things, yeah, because I am not like I have not touched Azure. I've not touched Azure. Like I've not touched Azure. So all of this still looks like, that's why my account looks as though there is nothing on it. So because that's just because there's nothing on it. But this is Azure AD B2C. Let me copy and paste this and see what is good. So yeah, it's the same thing. So it says here that is a customer identity access management solution capable for supporting millions of users and billions of educations per day. So what's the B2C? So they are saying that Microsoft is moving from Azure AD B2B to and B2C to next gen. That's Microsoft Entra external ID. I don't know. Wait, is this existent or this is actually existent already? So let me go back to my Azure account and search again. Or I'm actually meant to search again because thank God I came to Google to come and check. Hey, come back now. Let me search again. Azure AD. What is this? Oof. I don't know why this is taking so long, but I think I'm just gonna move on. Right. So then for GCP, it says for IAM in GCP, users are managed through Google's cloud identity or Google Workspace. Like Azure, GCP enables managing users and groups called Google Groups. In addition, GCP has additional entities that can be given permissions, including domains, wow, service accounts, and authenticated users and all users. One thing to note is that both all users and authenticated users group are not specific to an instance of Google Cloud Identity or Google Workspace. Rather, they are relevant to all Google accounts and users on the internet. So they are essentially public. No, this is like this doesn't make sense to me. So let me read it again. It says one thing to note in GCP is that all users and authenticated users group are not specific to an instance of Google Cloud Identity or Google Workspace. Rather, they are relevant to all Google accounts and users on the internet. So they are essentially public. No, or to be very honest, this doesn't make sense to me. Let me let me maybe I'm just the one that maybe I do not understand what I was reading. But let's go again. Explain this and okay. So it is saying that what all user and authenticated user mean. Literally anyone on the internet, whether they have a Google account or not, includes okay. Unless you intentionally want something public. It doesn't. I tell you, like it's not safe. So it says by default, no. It exposes resources to a much wider audience than most people realize. Only safe if your use case is explicitly public access. Come on. Why do people now go heads over heels because of my god. Okay, so if you give all users the storage, if you give all users the storage object viewer role on a GACS bucket, that bucket becomes publicly accessible, like a public website. That's insane, I tell you. Anyways, okay. So let me clip this and put it here. But okay, essentially public, and I managed through the Google Workspace. Yes, Google Workspace or Google Cloud Identity. So let me paste this here. Um, okay, it's pulled up another. I'm going to maybe have to come and read this later. Okay, okay. So this is user management in GCP. So let's talk about how access is assigned to service identities. So this is okay. I think at the beginning of this access use case, um, there are two types of identities. So I think I want to make this Let me see if I can bring this down. No. So let me say this is this. Let me X this, then this, then let me access use case. Access use case. Then I'm just gonna bolden this. Then okay, so that's for access use case. Then for access use case, there are two types of identities. There is the users and there is the machine. Sorry, there is the services, which is machine or which is machines or applications. Um, okay. So two types of identities needs access, which is the users and services. Yep. So let's talk about, so this is for users. So this is for users. This is for users, and this is gonna be for services. So this is for services. So for services, in AWS, service identities can be given access through to resources by assumption of IAM roles. For example, a lambda in AWS may access resources by assuming an IAM role. By assuming an IAM role. Okay. This configuration is done by allowing AWS Lambda to assume a role. Okay, so let's talk about. So I just want to put all of this then in my notes. Okay, so in AWS, services can be given access to resources by assumption of IAM rules. Yeah, by assumption of IAM rules. So Lambda can a Lambda in AWS may access resources by assuming an IAM role. This configuration is done by allowing the AWS Lambda service to assume a role. Yeah. So there's an image that can be pulled. Resources. Okay. So let me clip this, and I need to paste this. Yep. Yeah. So there is this image here, and it says so the lambda lambda, yeah, this is AWS Lambda. There's a icon. It's may access resources by assuming an IAM role. So this is an IAM role. This is a user. So easily it can assume an IAM role, and um, policies are written to the IAM role. So policies are attached to roles, and Lambda can also assume the role in this case. And okay, Okay. So there's service identities in AWS, service access management in GCP. Okay. So similar to AWS IAM role, GCP enables providing access to a type of proxy identity called service account. As in AWS, cloud functions, which is an example is Lambda. The GCP Lambda equivalent can have a service account attached to them, and cloud function can then use the permission granted to the service account. So cloud functions to a service account assumes a role similar to AWS IAM role. GCP enables providing access to a kind of proxy identity called the service account. So let me just clip this here. As in AWS, cloud functions, the GCP Lambda equivalent, can have a service account attached to them. So they can have cloud function as a service account attached to it. Okay. And then cloud function can then use permissions granted to the service account. Cloud functions can then use the permission granted to the service account. Okay. That makes sense. Then as a resource here, that makes sense. Okay. So service access management in Azure. So unlike and AWS and GCP, Azure does not provide an object that can be assumed by other users or services. Instead, Azure provides two options for managing service access. So there is the system assigned and there is the user assigned. So the first is for giving okay the first is for giving resource access to services by creating a managed identity, which enables granting access without needing to manage credentials. A managed identity can be system assigned or user assigned. So let me pull this to ChatGPT. I need like a better understanding of this thing. I need a better understanding of this thing. Mm, um, okay, so let me go back to the stuff I was reading. Then copy, then copy. Hi, Rooster, what's up? Okay, so it says that in AWS, you have IAM roles that can be assumed by users, apps, or services. In GCP, you have service accounts that can be impersonated by other users and services. But in Azure, there is no direct assume role or impersonate account concept. Instead, Azure uses managed identities for services to securely authenticate and access resource without storing passwords, secrets, or keys. So let me pull this and copy. Then in my notepad, let me pull this up, then service management in Azure. Okay, so I can say that, no, then let me paste this. No, copied, copied this, then paste it. Yeah. So in AWS you have IAM roles, in GCP you have service accounts, but Azure uses managed identities for services to securely authenticate and access resources without storing keys, passwords, or secrets. Okay, so back to the notes, to ChatGPT, it says a managed identity is essentially an identity like a service account that Azure manages for you. You do not need to create keys or password. Azure rotates credentials automatically and handles lifecycle management. So there are two types of managed identities. There is a system assigned managed identity. It creates automatically when you enable it on an Azure resource like the virtual machine, the function app or logic app. It has a one-to-one relationship. If this resource is deleted, the identity is also deleted. Only that resource uses it. Okay. So an example now is that if you enable a system assigned identity for a VM, then grants that identity a reader role on a storage account, so it can read objects in the storage account. The VM can now access the storage account directly, no secrets required. Okay, makes sense. So I want to pull the all of this into my notes. So for user assigned managed identity, it is created independently of resources like a reusable identity. It's just like the way I can maybe create policies that users can assume in AWS, I guess, if I am right. Then that's a many to many relationship. One user assigned identity can be attached to multiple resources. Deleting a resource does not delete the identity. Deleting a resource does not really delete the identity, right? Okay. So example is you create a user assigned identity called data app data access. You give it a reader role, and you give it a reader role on a database. Multiple apps, VMs, or functions can share the same identity to access the database. Okay. So quick comparison. So for system assigned, dedicated tied to a single resource lifecycle, like a personal ID. User assigned is reusable and can be shared across multiple resources. Okay. Okay. So why this matters? You don't have to store secret codes, config files, key vaults like AWS. Um, Azure rotates credentials automatically, making it more secure. You can follow this privilege by granting the managed identity only if the role is needs on specific resources. Only the role it needs on. Okay. So in short, Azure replaces the assume role and personal accounts with managed identities. You just only decide whether the identity should belong to one specific resource, which is system assigned, or reusable access. So reusable across multiple resources, which is user assigned. Okay. Okay. So let me go back to my notes. it's saying that I need to mute this thing. Come on. Okay, so to continue, um, okay, everybody can still hear me. So the second option for providing access in Azure is by a service principal. So to use a service principal, the first step is to register the application. The registered application object. Okay, second, the registered application object provides credentials that enable authentication to Azure. Okay. 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 So providing external access in AWS, Azure, and GCP. Organizations often need hi Blockchain Explorer. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining in. Please do well to and confirm if my video and my audio is okay. Okay, so the organizations often need to give external access to third-party apps, such as to obtain support services from them. In AWS, external access is provided through a resource-based policy. In AWS, admins manage the resources, not the identities. So providing an access to an identity takes place through a resource-based policy that details the permission and is attached to the resource. And since it is not scalable to create a resource-based policy for each resource, for each account is required, admins can create an IAM role that can be assumed externally. Mm, okay. So in Azure, separating the service principal from the app enables providing the application with external access to other tenants. To provide external access, a service principal is created when the app is installed in the tenant. The permission is granted to that service principal provider and application provider. The permission granted to that service principal provides the so that service principal provides the application with permission to external resources in other tenants. And in GCP, a service account is used to provide access to third parties. GCP easily enables providing access by simply creating a binding for an external identity or okay and for an external identity on a service account with a role that can be impersonated. Okay, so I think I can finish this and and you know plan out what I'll be doing tomorrow. Yep. So So three pitfalls to look out for. Now that we've covered how permissions work, let's review some pitfalls that a cloud security expert should look out for when handling IAM permissions. So static credentials. So AWS has a static credential, the IAM user access key. The access key is made up of only two strings, the access key and the secret access key. It is not good practice to use these credentials to give access, since it can be easily impersonated or leaked. For example, a developer can accidentally add it to GitHub or a public bucket. In addition, these credentials can be very hard to monitor. Despite this warning, some admins still use the access key to give access to CLIs, to machines, or even a third party. Because I know that all of the cloud walkthroughs that I have done, all of the cloud walkthroughs that I have done, I am always like gaining access to them through the access keys. I'm even talking about AWS now, like through the access key and the secret access key, the key ID and the secret access key. And I did not at some point I did not even know that I did not know that I actually did not know that it was actually like wrong to give out your your access key ID and your secret access key. I did not know, like at first I did not know, but I think it got to I think I was reading maybe I think I was reading a content like couple of weeks ago, and that was when I knew that, oh, giving out access keys and giving out the um the access key ID is actually not like it is not ethical. It actually isn't ethical. So okay, so and in GCP, the service accounts can have a static key pair, which is risky and can be accidentally leaked or maliciously breached. I think there was one attack that happened some time ago whereby the leak was just majorly it was an AWS breach actually, and there were like multiple of keys, secret keys and what's it called, and access keys on the streets on the street of the internet, just lying there. It was a breach like couple of months ago. I cannot remember exactly when. Okay, but Azure has both static key, and you can it can do the whole rotating thing, right? Now that's Azure, yeah. So using provider managed policy, as mentioned earlier, the cloud provider can create and manage policy and also unilaterally change them. In addition, managed policies are usually overly expensive, sorry, excessive, since they are created based on providers' ballpark estimation of what the roles require. Okay. Such excessive permission are a violation of the principle of least privilege. So AWS users should especially be on the lookout for these policies, since permissions in AWS also include the resources that the identity can access. There is also a tendency to use a wildcard. Once there is this wildcard in your policy, there is nothing that user or what okay, let's assume that there is there's a policy attached to maybe a role or a user, and in the policy, in the JSON file, there's this there's this asterisk inside what's it called, inside brackets. As long as there's this in any part of your JSON code, in policy or your policy, yeah, that account or what that particular policy, whenever that policy is like attached to any user or or a role, that account can do whatever it is that pertains, like it has like extra privilege as regarding to whatever functions is out to do. So once there's okay, so it says there's tendency to use a wildcard, which makes all of the resources available. So once it's attached to whatever it is in your your policy, that thing's gonna do signs and wonders. So in in GCP and Azure, the tendency can become dangerous if the wildcard permissions are added to high level scopes or give excessive roles to basic roles like viewers or editors. So the third one is unwarranted public access. Some configurations are dangerous, and since they unknowingly give public access to sensitive resources. For example, an AWS resource-based policy that gives public access and configures the principal as a star, granting access to all existing principals. This configuration makes the resource public. As mentioned before in GCP, the identifiers, all users and all authenticated users also make a resource public. So there's guardrails. Each cloud providers has taken a step to control access management and prevent breaches by putting guardrails in place. So let's look at the most important ones. So there's AWS guardrails. Let me zoom in if it will be better. So AWS uses a multi-stage complex process when evaluating whether to give permission. Multiple mechanisms like identity policies, resource-based policies, or permission boundary, a service control policy, a session policy, and more are reviewed during the evaluation process. Each mechanisms prevent identities from having access to certain permissions, even if granted access, enhancing security and helping protect specific valuable resources. So there's a flow chart. So decision starts with deny. Evaluate all applicable policies. Is there an explicit deny? Yes. Final decision deny. Okay. No. So if there is okay. Uh, okay. So is there an explicit deny? So once it denies, right? Then once it is not going to deny, it moves to the next stage. Then we have the yes and no. So it's just the allow and deny all through till the end of the flow chart. Then for GCP guardrails, an effective GCP guardrail is the IAM deny policy. So again, every decision starts with a deny, right? So this policy is a set of rules that determines what a principal is denied access to. The GCP deny policy is applicable to organizations, folders, folders and applies the same inheritance rules. Okay. Okay. So at the end of the day, come off. Okay. So there is Azure guardrails. Azure provides multiple guardrails. However, most are fairly straightforward, not too sophisticated. Let's look at the main one. So there's the lock, which enables setting a lock on a resource or resource group to make it read only or prevent deletion. Locks dot do not enable determining more specific configuration conditions. So there's deny assessment, denies actions to a user group or service principals, um, conditional access, a useful tool for user access management through if then policy. And there's the Azure policy, a tool for monitoring activity in Azure tenants. Okay, to enforce certain rules. The benefits of automated analysis platform. Um, we've covered. Okay, an automated analysis platform analyzes configurations and log in your cloud environment to understand which permissions are granted to which identity and whether these permissions are actually required. So by analyzing this permission continuously, IT, DevOps, and admins can ensure visibility at all time in this dynamic environment. Such a platform can also remediate these issues by providing applicable policies that help meet regulations and achieve least privilege. So it said cloud IAM is complex unto itself, let alone when trying to manage it securely in the environment of different cloud providers. An automated analysis platform that operates across multiple clouds can help close gaps in cloud expertise while monitoring permissions to ensure cloud security. This will help reduce the cloud security risk of IAM in a simple and insightful manner. So I'm just going to clip this because I need to remember this and put this here. So just gonna put this here. Okay. So I think so far so good. Yeah, I've been able to understand IAM across clouds, and really um it has been fun actually. How that I do not need to go too far, and not like go too far per se, but how that I've been able to like learn new things, and I've been able to like refresh my memories of things that I have actually read, and I'm just glad I'm like doing this all over. Right? It's just refreshing memories. And there were things I did not know that I got to realize today. Now I know why some organizations will do some things now, and you would question whether it is right or it is wrong. So it is really really like it's making much sense now. It's actually making sense now. Yep. So I'm trying to like pull um trying to pull this guy again, ChatGPT, because I was looking at okay, let me check my quick notes. I be no sticky notes. Yeah, I have some things like in my sticky notes that I want to like see if I can go through them, and I have something else again in ChatGPT that I'm working on so I can go through it. and that will probably be like my guide for the stream. Mm, so I think I maybe my stream tomorrow probably maybe be a walkthrough. I want to see how I can how I can if I'm going to see if I can maybe like get a walkthrough around IAMs. I want to see if I can get walkthroughs around IAM. So that's gonna be my stream for tomorrow. So let's do walk. But I'm gonna be doing. I'll do walkthroughs tomorrow. I'm gonna do a walkthrough tomorrow. I'm gonna do a lab tomorrow. So I have IAM across clouds. I have threat modeling basics, governance and compliance, and but I would look for a lab around IAM, majorly for just AWS for now though. I'm gonna do a lab tomorrow to like cap this to cap IAM across clouds. This is that I'm just gonna finish now. So then I'm trying to pull up ChatGPT so I can see what. Okay, so this is let me just share. I don't know if you can see it very well. It can't go bigger than this. Yeah. So I have like five things I want to like do, which are like the fundamentals. So I did shared responsibility model. Shared responsibility model was like the first thing that I did. So now I would do IAM across clouds, and then I'll do a lab for this. I just finished IAM across clouds now, so I'll do I'll do a lab like an Akin lab for this one, so we can see what I can do around IAM. By the way, um my website is actually down, and it's a loss because I have like a couple of projects on it. I have my portfolio is on it. Some of my blogs are on it. I really don't know what to do, so I'm trying to like get it back working. And because if you go to the site now, it's just gonna be blank. I just discovered yesterday. I don't know how long it has been like that. Okay, so I'm like trying to like figure out what to do. Maybe I should move to medium pending the time that pending the time I'm going to, pull my site back up. But honestly, I really do not know what to do at this point. I had to like put some of my works on medium because I needed to like show somebody. I had to like put some of my works to medium. I should have just been cross posting like from the scratch, but I don't know why. Okay, so this is what I pulled from ChatGPT. Okay, so let me make this bigger. So there's this IAM, right? Networking. I think after the what's it called? After this IAM across that I did today, I'm going to look at networking in I'm going to look at networking in AWS, right? So I'm going to go through all of these guys again, and I might basically just be using AWS's documentation, the native documentation. Then I'm going to go through compute, then storage, then databases, then security specific. So I think I'm just going to follow this so that I can just go through this, because basically if you want to pen test the cloud, you have to like understand how all of these guys functions. So so okay, Maslany, if you want, yeah. So basically, I just finished the IAM across clouds, and I have my notes here. I have my notes here, and this is how I'm just gonna be doing for the next 88 days. but it's a lot, and I really want to thank you guys for staying tuned. It's really really late, yeah, and yes, so I can say that I have maybe come to the end of the stream today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Zeteo underscore sec SEC, and on TikTok I am on TikTok as ZeteoSec, ZeteoSec, and please do not forget to support me on Ko-fi. I have the link in the at the bottom of the stream. So please do not forget to support me on Ko-fi. Um, this is what's going to be pushing me to do more, right? So yeah. So thank you very much for tuning in again. I'm going to be live by 8 o'clock tomorrow. Um, God's willing. I know that my streams are always like happening 8 o'clock. It happens 8 o'clock, but I've been having like couple of meetings that ends by 9. So I just like come in whenever the meeting ends, and these are meetings that I cannot actually miss. So that's why yesterday's stream started around 9, today's one started around 9. But I don't know, my laptop acted up and I could not just do anything. So but yes, I want to like say a very big thank you for tuning in, and if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do now. That's like the biggest form of support that you can have me at the moment. Yes, so I've forgotten what I used to say at the end of the stream, but I would really want to say a very big thank you once again for tuning in. See you when I see you, which is going to be tomorrow night. Have a lovely evening ahead.